Zeus, seated on his throne atop Mount Olympus, gazed down upon the mortal world, now barren and quiet in the wake of the Golden Age's end. The harmonious, immortal race of the Golden Age had faded into the underworld, their spirits becoming guardians of the earth. Yet Zeus did not wish for the earth to remain empty. He decreed that a new race of mortals should walk the land, one that would honor the gods and labor to sustain themselves. He called upon the Titan Prometheus, the maker of men, who had shaped the first race from the clay of the earth and the breath of the divine. Zeus commanded Prometheus to create a second race, one distinct from the first. They were to be mortal, but not immortal, like the men of gold. They were to be strong, but subservient, clever, but obedient. Zeus envisioned a world where mortals would toil and worship the Olympians, offering sacrifices to sustain their divine power. Prometheus, ever the craftsman, wrought the silver race with his skilled hands. He infused them with strength and vitality, molding their forms to reflect the splendor of the divine. Yet Prometheus, ever defiant of Zeus, also imbued this new race with the seeds of curiosity and independence, a spark he knew would one day defy the will of the gods. The silver race rose from the dust of the earth, their bodies radiant and luminous, but their hearts heavy with a different essence than the serene men of the Golden Age. They were mortal, and thus they would age, grow weary, and die. Yet their lifespans were long, stretching over centuries. They were a race of vigor and vitality, yet burdened with the knowledge of their impermanence. In the early days of the Silver Age, the earth, though no longer as generous as in the Golden Age, still provided for her children. The silver men lived in abundance, for the soil was fertile, and the fruits of the land grew plentifully. They tilled the earth with crude tools, learning the ways of agriculture and the seasons. The rivers flowed freely, and the forests teemed with game. The gods looked down upon their creations with satisfaction, for the men of silver built altars and temples to honor them, offering sacrifices in gratitude for their blessings. The mortals, however, were not as harmonious as their golden predecessors. They were prone to excess, indulging in feasts and revelry, often forgetting the gods in their celebrations. Their hearts were filled with pride, and they began to believe that the earth's bounty was their birthright rather than a gift from the divine. Demeter, the goddess of agriculture, walked among them, teaching them the secrets of sowing and harvesting. Yet even as she guided them, she saw their arrogance grow. Mortals began to neglect their offerings, their minds consumed by their own pleasures. The gods, once revered with pure devotion, now received sacrifices tainted with arrogance and ingratitude. The silver race, unlike their golden predecessors, were not born wise. They were as children, naive and impulsive, despite their physical strength and long lifespans. They quarreled over trivial matters, and their tempers flared like wildfires. Though they were gifted with intelligence, they lacked the wisdom to guide it. They built great structures and fashioned tools, yet they used their knowledge to compete with one another rather than to uplift their kind. Zeus watched from Olympus, his brow furrowed. The men of silver were flawed, their arrogance growing with each passing generation. Though they honored the gods with sacrifices, their devotion was shallow, born of fear rather than reverence. They did not comprehend the balance of the cosmos or the humility required to coexist with the divine. Prometheus, too, watched his creations with concern. He saw the spark of rebellion and ambition within them, a reflection of his own defiant spirit. He knew that Zeus would not tolerate their insolence forever, and he feared for the fate of the silver race. As the Silver Age progressed, the mortals' folly grew. They ceased to honor the gods with proper reverence, neglecting their sacrifices and prayers. They turned their backs on Olympus, believing themselves self-sufficient and invincible. They quarreled amongst themselves, their greed and pride leading to strife and bloodshed. Zeus, enraged by their arrogance, decreed that the silver race would be punished. The mortals had failed to live according to the divine order, and their hubris could not go unchecked. Yet Zeus, ever calculating, sought not only to punish but also to instill fear and obedience in the hearts of mortals. He unleashed storms and floods upon the earth, devastating the lands and destroying their harvests. Lightning split the skies, and the earth trembled beneath the wrath of the Olympian king. The mortals, terrified, begged the gods for mercy, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. The gods had grown distant, their patience worn thin by the mortals' ingratitude. Prometheus, unable to bear the suffering of his creations, sought to aid them. He stole fire from the heavens, gifting it to the mortals so that they might survive the harshness of Zeus's punishment. With fire, they could cook their food, forge tools, and warm themselves against the cold. Yet this act of defiance only deepened Zeus's fury. The silver race, despite Prometheus's aid, could not escape their fate. Their arrogance arrogance and folly had sown the seeds of their downfall, and their defiance of the gods sealed their doom. Zeus, determined to rid the earth of this flawed race, decreed their destruction. He sent down a great plague upon the mortals, sparing none. Their long lifespans became a curse rather than a blessing, for they withered away in agony, their once radiant forms reduced to shadows of their former selves. The earth, once fertile and bountiful, grew barren, its soil cracked and lifeless. The silver race, like the men of gold before them, faded into the underworld. Yet unlike their predecessors, they did not become benevolent spirits. Their arrogance and defiance in life tainted their spirits, and they wandered the underworld as restless shades, forever tormented by their hubris. The Silver Age, though brief and tragic, left a lasting legacy. The gods, particularly Zeus, learned that mortals were not to be trusted with unchecked power. The Silver Race's folly served as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the consequences of hubris and ingratitude. Zeus, reflecting on the failure of the Silver Race, resolved to create a new race of mortals, one that would better serve the divine order. Thus, the Age of Bronze would follow, a time of strength and war, where mortals would be forged in the crucible of conflict. Prometheus, punished for his defiance, was bound to a rock, where an eagle devoured his liver each day, only for it to regenerate overnight. Yet even in his torment, he held hope for humanity. He believed that one day, mortals would rise above their flaws and achieve greatness. The earth, scarred by the wrath of Zeus, began to heal. The gods returned to their thrones on Olympus, watching and waiting as the world turned. The Silver Age had ended, but its lessons echoed through the ages, a reminder of the delicate balance between mortals and the divine. The Silver Age, as told by Hesiod, is a story of imperfection and consequence. It is a tale of a flawed race, created with promise but undone by their own arrogance and folly. Yet it is also a tale of growth and learning, both for mortals and the gods. In the grand tapestry of Greek mythology, the Silver Age stands as a reminder that perfection is fleeting, and that even the divine must grapple with failure. It is a story of humanity's eternal struggle to find balance between ambition and humility, between independence and reverence.